taking you all with me on a trip to the laundry room during my lunch break, and I guess a trip through my thoughts. I documented myself doing something extremely mundane, laundry, because I realized that in my dread of this ever-growing laundry pile in my room, that there was a day when I had once sworn that I would never complain about doing laundry because, quote unquote, doing laundry in America actually meant pressing a button. That particular day was in 2014, which was my second year in Ethiopia for the Peace Corps, a truly DIY era with barely any electricity, no machines, no running water, just some buckets and some precious water collected from the local well or tap, or if you're lucky, collected from the rain that God provided, and dirty clothes. And oh my, when we call our laundry dirty, this is different. I'm talking about dust-encrusted, sweat-drenched, and mud-caked, defiled clothes, usually worn for a month or two straight, likely more, which I'd wash in the old-school Korean drama way, which was stomping them with my feet in a big, shallow bucket with as little water and soap as possible. Because Lord knows that that bucket of water was way too precious to be using up on nasty clothes, but it had to be done. And then you would hang it outside on a line to dry in the sun, with sometimes your undies displayed to the village in full glory, unless it was rainy season, during which you would hang your clothes indoors until it becomes musty or moldy, and likely still wet 3 days later. And I remember thinking at the time, how in the world did I ever complain in America about doing laundry? Because seriously and literally all it was just dumping clothes in a machine and pressing a button. Fast forward to 2024 and I was doing exactly that. Complaining, thinking it was so much work for me to go down to the basement with my 2 chunky loads of clothes to pay some change for the machine to do its thing. And it made me think of how much I forget and how spoiled I am. And it also started me thinking about all the things that are now so normal that were once so shocking in a reverse culture shock way as we were re-entering the States and seeing how easy it was to get food, a whole aisle of yogurt, of meat, of bread. When we'd go to the stands in my village, we would ask for bread, like singular bread, because there was one option, as with most things there. So returning to the States, bread was actually a significant memory because that was one of the first things I attempted to buy at a grocery store. And I actually ended up not even buying the bread that I intended to because I was so overwhelmed by the choices. Like, you want split top, you want wheat, hamburger or hot dog buns, English muffins, you want white bread or multigrain, artisanal, gluten-free. And I just walked out of the store empty-handed because I was anxious and overwhelmed. And look at me now, it doesn't even faze me to go into the store and see an aisle full of bread. And that got me thinking about how convenient my life is. And yet I still have things that I complain about. And like, man, I dreamed of being where I am now. And I used to say that when I returned to the States, like, I would never complain, never take things for granted, never be idle, never complain about working. And you know what I realized? I am just like the Israelites. Yeah, the Israelites. Because God went on this amazing rescue mission for them, plagues, split seas, manna falling from the sky, and yet the Israelites were like, take me back to Egypt. Like, they didn't even know what they had. And so my trip to the laundry room ended up being my kind of take me back to Egypt moment. my own grumbling in the wilderness, in my wilderness, a time of reflection and of revealing my heart condition of discontentment and the things that I have taken for granted in my current wilderness season. So I'm reminded to be grateful, even when it's looking a little dry out here, and the manna be looking a little stale, and the trek extremely exhausting. Reminders to give thanks in all circumstances, reminders of his daily provision, and reminders to trust the process and the journey, because his ways are higher than ours and his thoughts are higher. So yet again, another reminder that it is his story and not mine. The main character energy is not for us. We are just the NPCs. Thanks for joining me in airing out my inner dirty laundry, and until next time. This feels no bueno. Let's try that again.